Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Friday's Rock, and I have a little bit of a DIY project again this week. My Chicago electrics are the bushings are starting to go, and this morning before I lubricated the bushings again, the barrels were kind of off tracking, which lets me know the bushings need to be greased, etc. And then there was also some sticking going on, and you can kind of see it in that barrel every once in a while. You'll see it freeze up. That usually is a good indicator that a bushing is going. And now I got a belt squealing, which is also another little indicator. Meanwhile, the lower tone that I replaced a while ago is sitting there just rolling like a champ. So it's time to get these two, get those bushings on there, and see what they. And for now, I'm just going to do a quick little. I don't know. I'm just going to talk my way through it, but. I plan in a couple of weeks of doing an actual tutorial of breaking down. I'm going to do one of these real quick, and then in a week I'm going to do one of these, or at least release a video, and I'll show how I did this step by step by step. So yeah, I look forward to that in a future video. And for now, let's just this is I see I marked it C1 here, which means this is the older of the two units. So I'll get started on this unit and go from there. That's a little bit of a shed update. I had the little wood stove in here, you guys may have seen. I decided I'm not going to use that. I'm just actually going to get rid of it because it's taking up floor space for one, and I like the idea of it, especially because I got a bunch of wood laying around. But yeah, it's just more of a hassle than, I mean, I got to thinking about the actual reality of it. It's more of a hassle than it's going to be worth, especially if I have to replace the stovepipe. And then, you know, I can order a propane heater for about the same price, so and come to find out, my dad had one laying around, so I'm just going to use a propane heater, free up that floor space, get rid of that stovepipe, and yeah, heat my house this way, or heat my shed this way. But for now, the space heater is working just fine, just enough to keep the chill out of the air and keep my hands from going numb. And if you guys have had rain-ons, or you know what I mean. The second the temps get below 50 degrees, it's awful. Okay, so you'll obviously, first thing to know is your hands are going to get dirty working with these things. I mean, you can wear nitrile gloves or whatever, but the dust is harmless. It's usually just rubber dust. I can't remember what I put in these today. I just filled these today. I think this one's... See, I have some Mozambique agates going, and oh, these are mookites. So set those aside. So if you like mookite, stick around for a future video of that. I mean, to get to these things, you got to change the first thing first is to get rid of the bushing caps, and to get to the bushings on this side, you have to remove the motor, unfortunately. So, I mean, you can try to do it with the motor still on there, but you run the risk of when you drill through hitting that little fan blade, and those things are stupid fragile on this unit. On the lower tone, that's a metal pulley, or that's a metal pulley fan, but on these it's a plastic, and they break crazy easy. Yeah, and the other difference between this and the lower tone is that obviously there's an on-off switch, so at the lower tone, you can just pull the motor right out, and you just have the power cord. Here you got the off switch, so there's a limited amount of space to pull that with. But yeah, so I'm going to find a marker, and I'm going to get started. I'm going to mark where these screws are. Sorry if I wander off frame. The camera goes dark after a few minutes, and I can't see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to mark that to know where that plate was. I don't know what that plate does, but according to the manufacturer, it should be on there, I guess, or they wouldn't supply it. So, yeah. Get that belt off there. It's not doing any good at the moment. As far as I know, it doesn't seem like I've replaced the belts on these. I think that's still the original belt that came with it, and there's enough black gunk on my hand to suggest that it is. So that's really cool. This is honestly the first time I've opened these units up, I believe, on this end. So, you know, the first two units of Chicago electrics that I got, they didn't run so great, but now, man, they're running like champs. The other notable difference between the Chicago Electric and the Lortone is the Chicago Electric, there's grease on there from when I greased it this morning. The Lortone has the E-clips, I guess they're called, whereas the Chicago Electric has these little, this kind of clip. I can't remember what they're called, but so they're a bit more of a pain in the rear to get off. Oh, that was nice. Fell right through. Okay. Those are loose. Now to get the motor off of there. Again, just a regular number 2 screwdriver. And there are some motor mounts in there, some plastic motor mounts here. So you got to be aware of those. And there are 2, they kind of act like washers here, on here. So there's your little plate there. Yeah, it pulls loose, and there's your motor mount. Okay. This one, obviously, just unscrew that and the pulley comes off. Yep, you got to be careful with these though. These screws are not very good. So if you don't get a good bite on them, there is a chance you'll strip them out really quick. So do be careful with that when you modify your tumblers. Ouch. There's your old bushing. It's not completely worn through. You can see where it was out of shape. It was, let me get a white background. There we go. You can see where it was a little starting to lose its shape. So, oh, there you can see a hole was worn through. So that was what's causing the wobbling. But, yeah, that's going to be tossed out. And the other one, on the other end, yep, also same thing, had a little bit of wear in it. Are they in the same spot? Oh, that might be manufactured in there. So I don't think they're manufactured that way. I think they're just wore right in there. So, and the other one's your motor. And that one would probably be best to get to from the other side. Oh, that bushing fell out. No gash in that one, so not quite as worn. Still mostly round. So that one wasn't the real issue. Now this would have been the resting shaft. So neither of these was very messed up. So that's good. And there's a little notch in there. You can see there's a notch in the bushing and there's a notch in the hole to where that bushing would set in there. So they are up and down specific. And I'm sorry if the lighting sucks. Motor's out of the way. I'm not going to hit the switch. I can't get my drill in there. Seems like with a Lortone I got my drill in there all the way. I'll try to tighten that up. That helped a little bit, but maybe I'll start up here. So I ordered 2 sets of these bearings. First time I ordered them, they came in like this. I went right back to the same spot, ordered them again, same page on Amazon, and they came in a tube, a little fancier. So I'll use these on this project. Yep, snaps right in there. Now you want to make sure, something of note that you want to make sure you do, is make sure the, like when you pull the original bushings out, they're sitting inside like, you know, this direction, with the flush to the outside. You want to make sure when you put the new bushings in, or the bearings in, that they go the same direction. Something my dad and I learned real quick with the last one. Oh, another thing we learned real quick, don't put this one in yet. Just, yeah. Got a little carried away. May have gone too big on that one. We'll see. Nope, just right. Okay. Alright, hopefully, I can't get at it straight with this drill, so hopefully it's still a perfectly round hole. Oh, there we go. Let's not do that. Okay. The resting shaft, it doesn't really matter which end you get in first. So, let's start there. Okay, now to get the other one. Now this one does matter, because it's got to have the flat spot for the pulley. Get that motor out of the way. Flange is facing in, or flange is on the motor side. There we are. Okay. Okay. Gotta get the motor mounted back up, which is a major pain in the rear. Just for the record. Everything's looking good, everything's lined up, smooth. They put this on here this way so that you can adjust the motor to the belts and vice versa. Honestly, I've never found that to be an advantage. You know, like when you get the instruction manual, it tells you one of the first things to do is to tear it apart and make sure that's all adjusted properly, but once again, I've never really seen that as an advantage. Got a little play in it, that's not fun, but the belt should correct that. Alright, let's get the belt back on there. Alright, and plug it back in just to make sure everything's running properly. Make sure the switch is off. Okay, moment of truth. Everything's rolling nice and smooth again. Wow. It was rubbing really hard against that wall. You can hear it as soon as it hits. I don't know if you can hear it on camera, but it's definitely making a scraping sound as soon as it hits that wall. Well, looks good. Other than a little variation in the barrels themselves, either one's bigger or smaller. There's no wobble, there's no squeak. Good to go. Get the plates back on to keep fingers from hitting the... Oh, I ended up with a bonus washer. I don't know why. But, oh, that came off I don't know why it was on there. So therefore, it's not going to go back on. Okay. There we are. Back together. Good to go. Alright. Now I guess I'll show you some of the fruits of the labor.